Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. Let's do the whole darn weekend. How's that sound?
Sure.
Saturday, April the 27th, National Babe Ruth Day, National Tell a Story Day, National Prime Rib Day. Ooh, yum.
Yeah, you
Big
love that.
fan.
Makes you sick, though.
It does. I don't know why. National Devil Dog Day, National Rebuilding Day, National Sense of Smell Day, National Pool Opening Day, and National Kiss of Hope Day. Sunday, April the 28th, National Superhero Day, National Blueberry Pie Day, National Great Poetry Reading Day, Workers' Memorial Day, National Bravehearts Day, and National Pet Parents Day. All of these things happening this weekend. And I've got a guest, Heidi.
Who's that?
I have a veteran of the film and television world. He's a television director, producer, screenwriter, author, journalist, and educator, Sam Irvin. And if you were a fan of some really great stuff like, do you remember Elvira?
Oh, yeah.
He's worked with Elvira. He's worked on, he was assistant to Brian De Palma on Dress to Kill. He's done a movie Guilty as Charged, acting on Impulse, Kiss of a Stranger, bunch of them. We're going to chat with him about a lot of cool stuff coming up later in this program.
The inventor of Rip It Gloves has been a drywall guy for decades. He was trying to find gloves that worked for him and his crew, but nothing was quite right. So he went out and created some. Rip It Gloves fit firm in your hand and protect your hands, but still allow you to use a touchscreen. Professional athletes love the extra grip Rip It Gloves gives them. Painters, roofers, contractors, but also motorcycle and horseback riders. See why everyone loves Rip It Gloves at ripitgloves.com. Use promo code radio to save 25%. That's RIPIT gloves.com, promo code radio.
Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. A survey by the Honest Kids Beverage Company found that 9 out of 10 kids don't know that bananas and strawberries grow on trees. Did you know that? Bananas and strawberries grow on trees.
I knew bananas did. I guess strawberries don't grow on trees.
Apparently they do. I thought it was more of a bush, but apparently it's a strawberry tree.
I think I've picked strawberries before they're like a vine that grows low on the ground.
Well, according to this, 9 out of 10 kids don't know that bananas and strawberries grow on trees.
Probably a good thing they don't know that because they don't.
You're going to have to Google this one. All right.
I'm pretty sure I am going to Google this because I'm pretty sure.
You check on that while I get some more stuff ready. Thanks for listening to Surveys and Studies and Such, brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. Credit cards. They can be trouble. About 12 years ago, we did a debt snowball program and got rid of our credit cards. We were debt-free except for our house. It was awesome. But over the course of the next decade, our credit score went down. That sounds weird, but they need open accounts to give you a score. Our lower score made our insurance rates go up. We decided to get a credit card to help with that. We just pay it off every month. If you want a better credit card, check out bettercreditcards.net. They'll help you compare all the different cards to get the best one for you. That's bettercreditcards.net. And this is Your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by TimeForRehab.com. A Pennsylvania man who was high on bath salts opened fire on fireflies that he thought were green laser lights. Well, he's sentenced to 6 years in prison following a plea deal. 31-year-old Jesse Shields was arrested last June when he and his girlfriend broke into a Clinton County residence. Then he thought he was being attacked, so he said there was something on his skin that was burning, and he asked the homeowner if he could use a shower. After disarming Shields, the homeowner allowed the intruder to use the bathroom. When police arrived, it says here that he was taken into custody. He started seeing a lot of green lights that are similar to fireflies, but they were not fireflies because they were blinking twice, according to him. I don't know what that means. Anyway, that's when he grabbed the father's handgun and fired it into the air to scare whoever was messing with him.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's bad. Don't mess with bath salts, apparently, is the moral of this story. And Heidi has Googled some stuff. We're going to chat about that in a bit. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Former Full House cast stars Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen made a rare public appearance in New York City last weekend. So, it's like, I think that means there's 3 more weeks of spring. I'm not sure what that means. The cast of Saved by the Bell was reunited in California last Saturday to celebrate the show's 30th anniversary. That's cool. And Jussie Smollett's brother says the actor is now suffering from night terrors that keep him awake all night. Yeah, I'll bet he's awake all night. Probably wondering what he's going to do when the police are finally done. Heidi has Googled this. What is the answer? Because we were saying that 9 out of 10 kids did not know that bananas and strawberries grow on trees. You're saying
probably a good thing they don't know
you're
that
saying
because
that
they do not.
She Googled it. She says that's not a tree. According to this, it is a tree. It's this little tiny tree.
No, it says right here that they are strawberry plants, which are vines.
All right. Well, there you go.
So strawberries.
Way to go, survey from Honest Kids Beverage Company.
Actually produce runners.
All right. See? Now we know.
Or daughter plants.
This has been Big Screen, Little Screen, plus Heidi's Google. All of that right here on The John and Heidi Show.
Join us for a fun week in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic for the 3rd annual 80s in the Sand. We've been there the last 2 years. In addition to making a bunch of awesome new friends, we had so much fun meeting 80s actors and musicians. 80s in the Sand takes over the entire resort, so you'll mingle with them at the pools and the restaurants too. We'd love to have you join us. See the amazing lineup featuring Sammy Hagar and many more at radiotravelgroup.com. Save $200 per person for first-time guests at radiotravelgroup.com.
Now, your scoop of the day brought to you by BetterCreditCards.net. Kanye West is selling $50 church socks at Coachella. So apparently he's the only
Church
one.
socks.
I don't know what that means exactly. But
Yeah, what does church socks
I think
mean?
that just means nice socks. So I've got a link to them if you're interested. Madonna's new single, Medellin, flopped on the charts, sitting at number 43 on iTunes, not doing as well as she was hoping. She thought it was going to be like a number one hit.
Instant success.
Four Loko has released a hemp-flavored malt beverage last week in honor of 420. There is no marijuana in it, but it is 12% booze. So there you go. Michelle Branch married Patrick Carney from the Black Keys on Saturday in New Orleans. So that happened last weekend. A report out of Buckingham Palace, this just in. The royal family is trying to keep Meghan Markle as far away from the media as possible. They say she has a constant craving for media attention. Mm-hmm. She was an actress before,
She's an actress,
folks. So
that's right.
What do you think? And Adele has officially separated from her husband. That's too bad. She's kind of had sad music before. Imagine how sad it's going to be now. And the on-sale date for the tickets at Woodstock's 50th anniversary concert have been postponed indefinitely while promoters work to secure a permit for the site. So they've been talking about this big plan they have for a long time. We've known for 50 years that this was coming. Now they realize they need a permit? Okay. And the memoirs of Prince... they're working on there was a memoir that he was working on at the time of his death is due out in October. So he was working on his own memoir, apparently.
I wonder who finished it.
I don't know. Somebody else apparently is finishing it. We were just talking about the fact that he's got an album coming out as well. So it was a bunch of music that had not yet been released. So it's a big summer for Prince. And another Prince in the news, too. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They may spend 4 months in Africa after the baby is born. And a new report claims Britney Spears called off her Vegas residency over poor ticket sales. So that's what they're saying is the reason for her not being in Vegas. She's checked herself in for like a rehabilitation or some
That's
sort of
really
thing.
sad.
Yeah, I like Britney. And Cardi B wore an outfit to her assault trial. And the outfit that she wore cost over $15,000. And there's people online that were not too thrilled about that, saying that she shouldn't have wore that to court. She can wear whatever she wants to court.
She wants to
I
court.
don't know. I mean,
Why does it matter what she wore to court?
it doesn't matter to me. I'm not one that's complaining. I just think it's interesting that people are worried about that. If this does make a big difference in your life, you might want to check your priorities.
Reevaluate.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
exactly. Reevaluate what gets y'all riled
What did
up.
Cardi B wear to court?
Exactly.
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. And one last story here. The Playboy Club in New York City had to be forced to fire half of the Playboy bunnies on staff because of poor service.
Okay.
What kind of service were they providing? I've never been there, but I'm not really sure what they're doing.
Last time I was there, service was fine.
Was it fine, Heidi?
I was pleased.
Have
Would
you
have
ever-
made him a Top Gun of the Month if I was doing that at the time.
Oh, Heidi. So I don't quite understand what that means exactly. Poor service. Again, I'm going to move on because I've got a lot of things rolling around in my brain right now, none of which are appropriate. So that is probably a bad plan for me to go down that path. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend.
Do you have a credit card? Is it the very best credit card? Many people get their credit card as a response to an offer that was mailed to you. These are typically not the best cards. Check the fine print for the fees and interest. We have a website that compares many different cards being offered so you can find the one that's the best fit for you. If you'd like to find a better credit card, we'd love to help at bettercreditcards.net. There's no obligation. Just click and compare to see if we can get you a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We have a guest joining us today by the name of Sam Irvin. He is a producer and a film director and a screenwriter and an author and a journalist. You've got a lot of stuff going on. Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, John. I really appreciate it.
And as kind of scrolling through, there's a lot of fun projects you've had a chance to be a part of. There's one that I want to talk a little bit about here is Elvira's Haunted Hills. As a kid, I used to watch Elvira on TV all the time. I always just thought that was such a fun show. What was she like to work with? I bet she seems like a really neat lady. Was she pretty fun to work with?
Oh, well, she was incredible. I mean, I grew up loving horror films, and when I moved out to California, I started my career as Brian De Palma's assistant on films like Dress to Kill and stuff like that, and I finally did a short film and that got some buzz at Sundance, and then I came out to California and did my first feature film, which was called Guilty as Charged. It starred Rod Steiger, Lauren Hutton, Heather Graham, Isaac Hayes, and it was a sort of dark horror comedy about a madman who kidnaps murderers and puts them on his own private death row and fries them in his own electric chair.
Oh, wow.
I had done that film, and it had come out and gotten a rave review in the LA Times, and was playing film festivals and whatnot. And I went to a party. The party was thrown by a guy named Terry Sweeney, who was a regular on Saturday Night Live back in the 80s. You might remember him doing Nancy Reagan in drag. He was a really, really funny performer. And I knew him and his partner, Lanier Laney, who I'd gone to college with, actually. And so I was at this party, and I saw Cassandra Peterson across the way, and that is the real name of the actress who does Elvira. And so I went over and talked to her, and I had seen her first, I'd seen her show where she was hosting horror films, of course, but I'd seen her first movie, which was called Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. It had come out in 1988, and I went over and introduced myself and told her how much I loved her movie and was a big fan of hers. And then she asked what I did, and I told her I was a director and that I had done my first feature film. It was called Guilty as Charged, and she went, "Oh, Guilty as Charged? I just saw that. I loved it, and I've been wanting to meet you because if I ever do another Elvira film, I want you to direct it."
That's awesome. That is very
cool. Okay, well, this is Hollywood speak. This is, she doesn't really mean that, but it was very nice to hear, and she was a very nice lady. So then I went and did my second film. It was called Acting on Impulse, and it was about a scream queen actress who was in a lot of horror films whose producers found dead, and she's the prime suspect, and she has to help sort of solve the murder to clear her name. And in the film, there was a small part of a bouncer at a country western bar, and I called up Cassandra and asked her if she wanted to come in and do this little cameo appearance as a bouncer at a bar.
Oh,
and
nice.
Could, not as Elvira, but she could create her own, funny little character there. And so she came in, she borrowed a blonde wig from Daryl Hannah and did sort of a Dolly Parton kind of character outside the bar, and was hilarious. And it was just one day, but again, it was kind of solidified our friendship a bit, and we were friends. Okay, then several years go by, and she calls me up and she said, "Hey, we're finally going to do another Elvira movie, and I must be honest with you, we are talking to a number of directors. We're trying to decide who to go with, but I've always told you that I wanted to at least consider you. So would you come in and meet with us?" And I said, "Absolutely." So I go in, she hands me a script, and it's called Elvira's Haunted Hills, and she explains, she goes, okay, this is a spoof of the Vincent Price, Edgar Allan Poe movies of the 60s, like Pit and the Pendulum, House of Usher, Tomb of Ligeia, all of those films that he did back in the 60s for Roger Corman, for American International Pictures. And she goes, I don't know if you're familiar with those. And I go, honey, you have no idea. They are some of my absolute favorite movies of all time. And so much so, here is the climactic monologue that Vincent Price gives as the climax of Pit and the Pendulum. And I go into the monologue, and here it is. Do you know where you are, Bartolome? You are about to enter hell. Hell, the netherworld, the infernal region, the abode of the damned, a place of torment, Gehenna, Narakas, the pit, and the pendulum, the razor edge of destiny, thus the condition of man, bound on an island from which he can never or hope to escape, surrounded by the waiting pit of hell, which must destroy him finally. And she cocked her head and looked at me like I was absolutely insane.
That's awesome that you have that all memorized, though. That's cool.
And she said, you're hired.
That's awesome. Again, visiting right now with Sam Irvin, and Sam is a director and a producer and a writer and very involved in many different things when it comes to film. Now, how long have you been in Hollywood? You said you got out there, was it the late 80s or early 90s?
I came to Hollywood in 1990, and I've directed about 30 films since then. I do a lot of Lifetime thrillers and Hallmark Christmas movies these
I was going to say, I'm looking at your list here, and it's if you're not killing somebody, you're killing them with kindness in a Christmas movie, right?
Yes, exactly. And last year in 2018, I did 6 movies, if you can believe it. It was the most jam-packed year of my whole career. I did 5 thrillers for Lifetime and 1 Christmas movie, so I'm still kicking.
Well, this is really, really cool. I'm going to throw a link in our show notes to make it easy for people to find your work so they can go on and check out the movies. And some of these early ones that you were talking about sound like a whole lot of fun, so I'm going to have to go on and see if I can find those. Now, you had talked about the opportunity to work with Elvira, and it sounds like she was fun to work with. Are there some other folks that you've worked with that are just really maybe interesting stories and fun people you've had to work with along the way?
Well, there was a film I did for Showtime in 1995 called Out There. It was a UFO comedy, and it had a big all-star cast. We had Billy Campbell from The Rocketeer, Rod Steiger, Academy Award winner, Jill St. John, all kinds of great people in it. But there was this one role, just again a very small cameo role, where the lead actor Billy Campbell gets put in jail overnight, and there's this other guy who's his jail mate in the cell, who's very strange character, and the producer of the movie knew this actor because he had worked with him before. And we ran into him at the commissary at the studio where we were shooting at, and the producer said, let's have lunch with this guy. I think he'd be good for this role. And so I met him at lunch, and he was very nice, and we talked about the role a little bit, and he said, I'd love to go home and write up, a little bit of stuff on my own and improvise the part a little bit and see what you think. And I said, that'd be great. So he came in, did the role, was fantastic. But during the day, he kept telling us about how he was going off in a couple days to do this little low-budget independent film that he had raised the money for, and he was going to star in it, he had written it, he was going to direct it, and the movie turned out to be a film called Sling Blade.
Oh, wow.
And the guy I'm talking about is Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really cool. So you guys had a chance to work with him before he was a household name then. That's really neat.
Literally 2 days before he goes off to do his big breakthrough. So that was really fun. And also, there's so many. I mean, I mentioned Rod Steiger. I'd worked with him twice. It was fantastic to work with him, and just so many fun people. On these Hallmark Christmas movies, I got to work with some of my icons that I had as growing up, like Maureen McCormick, who was Marsha, and the Brady
yeah.
Bunch, and things like that. It's really, really fun to work with these people and get to know them. And so, anyway, it was all a lot of fun.
Well, Sam, thank you very much for taking some time to visit with us. It's been a lot of fun to visit with you, and I got a feeling we'll get a chance to chat again. As you have some of the films come out, I'm looking on your list here. You've got several things that are in post-production. As some of those get to the finish line and they come out, we'll have to chat and kind of let folks know when they're hitting the screen.
Perfect. I just want to mention that I just interviewed Elvira for a magazine called Scream.
Yeah.
And if people are interested in grabbing a copy of that, it's on sale at Barnes & Noble and newsstands across the country, but you can also order it at screammag.com. Now, it's spelled very differently than you think. SCREEMAG.com. So it's 2 E's and 1 M, screammag.com.
Well, I'll find that online, and I'll throw a link to make it easy. So if people didn't jot that down, I'll throw a link in our show notes to make it really simple. Sam, thank you again, sir. I appreciate the time, man.
Great. Thanks so much, John.
Again, Sam Irvin has been our guest today, and I'll throw a link to that interview that he did with Cassandra, which everybody knows her as Elvira. We'll throw a link to that in our show notes, and also a link to some of the movies that he's got out. A lot of fun stuff that he's working on. All of that in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com.
The inventor of Rip It gloves has been a drywall guy for decades. He was trying to find gloves that worked for him and his crew, but nothing was quite right. So he went out and created some. Rip It gloves fit firm in your hand and protect your hands, but still allow you to use a touchscreen. Professional athletes love the extra grip Rip It gloves gives them. Painters, roofers, contractors, but also motorcycle and horseback riders. See why everyone loves Rip It gloves at ripitgloves.com. Use promo code radio to save 25%. That's RIPIT gloves.com, promo code radio.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
World War I boosted the sale of brassieres.
Why?
The market for bras jumped in 1917 during the World War I. It was at the time they called it the Great War. They didn't call it World War I like they knew there was another
I wonder why
coming.
the war would have made a difference in bras.
Well, let me explain why. It says here, the U.S. War Industries Board asked American women to forego their corsets, which is what the women wore at the time. And if you quit wearing a corset, well, you need to do something. So they switched to the less demanding brassiere.
Okay.
The ladies did their part, freeing up 28,000 tons of metal from corsets, and they changed the female fashions from that moment forward. Not a lot of women wear corsets these days because once you switched over, you're like, why go back?
Well, yeah.
There you go. It's today's
more
fun fact.
comfortable, I'm
Thanks
sure.
for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Credit cards. They can be trouble. About 12 years ago, we did a debt snowball program and got rid of our credit cards. We were debt-free except for our house. It was awesome. But over the course of the next decade, our credit score went down. That sounds weird, but they need open accounts to give you a score. Our lower score made our insurance rates go up. We decided to get a credit card to help with that. We just pay it off every month. If you want a better credit card, check out bettercreditcards.net. They'll help you compare all the different cards to get the best one for you. That's bettercreditcards.net. Now, fear this. Time for fun with phobias. Tonitrophobia. Tonitrophobia. What do you think that is, Heidi?
I don't know.
It is the fear of thunder. Are you afraid of thunder?
No.
Are you afraid of lightning?
No.
Are you afraid of tornadoes?
No.
What are you afraid of?
Not much.
Okay, well, we're going to come up with something. I've been trying for a while. Tonitrophobia.
Why are you trying to find out what I'm
I just need
afraid
to find
of?
out what you're afraid of so I can scare you, apparently. This is today's fun with phobias.
Join us for a fun week in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic for the 3rd annual 80s in the Sand. We've been there the last 2 years. In addition to making a bunch of awesome new friends, we had so much fun meeting 80s actors and musicians. 80s in the Sand takes over the entire resort, so you'll mingle with them at the pools and the restaurants too. We'd love to have you join us. See the amazing lineup featuring Sammy Hagar and many more at radiotravelgroup.com. Save $200 per person for first-time guests at radiotravelgroup.com.
Now, some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. Coaches believe Little League Baseball Park should be one of the places that thieves consider off limits. After a midnight thieving, I don't know what you'd call it, last Wednesday, somebody broke into a concession stand in Ohio in a Little League park, and he says, I thought this would have been one of the places that should have been hands off. It's very frustrating. More than $10,000 worth of food and property were stolen. Everything from a PA system to crock pots to Big League Chew and even the first aid kits. Deputies have identified some suspects, Bert and Jessica Copley, thanks to some security video and some DNA evidence. They added that they found the couple and 8 truckloads of stolen property at their home. And it says here, among the stolen items from the concession stand, 1,200 hot dogs. As for the Little League, it was little consolation that they got the stolen food back. The president of the Little League said they had to throw it all out now because of health concerns. That's sad. It's a bad idea. It's today's Weird News.
John and Heidi.
Now, your moment of duh, brought to you by FunkyMonkeyShirts.com. A teen was arrested after cracking an egg on his mother's head as part of a social media challenge. And this led to a fight between the mom and the son. According to the complaint affidavit, after getting 300 comments on his Facebook egg challenge last Wednesday, 18-year-old Michael Corley said he would egg his mother. He reportedly proceeded to crack an egg over her head. The sheriff's office said they noted that the mother then slapped her son across the back of the head. According to the affidavit, allegedly, he grabbed her shirt and he threw her into the dining room table.
Oh!
Corley was taken to the jail and faces a charge of domestic battery. So I think that's a bad idea. Again, the kid is 18 years old, and if you've got nothing better to do than smack eggs on your mother's head at that age,
maybe you should be looking at getting a job.
You should probably move out and, go get on with your life. That's a bad idea. That's why it's today's moment of duh.
Do you have a credit card? Is it the very best credit card? Many people get their credit card as a response to an offer that was mailed to you. These are typically not the best cards. Check the fine print for the fees and interest. We have a website that compares many different cards being offered so you can find the one that's the best fit for you. If you'd like to find a better credit card, we'd love to help at bettercreditcards.net. There's no obligation. Just click and compare to see if we can get you a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net.
Now, these 3 things. Heidi, tell me, what do these 3 things have in common? Bull, pig, quill. They're all types of something. Bull,
A pen?
pig, and quill. Yeah, they're all types of pens. A bull pen, a pig pen, and a quill pen. Good job, baby. I don't think I would have gotten that one.
Yeah, you
My
would
wife
have.
over here is pretty darn smart.
You would have gotten that one. That was a pretty easy one.
Was it really? Was it
Yeah.
easy? I don't know if I would have. I don't know if I would have thought that way. It's today's These 3 Things.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It's courtesy of bettercreditcards.net. Take a listen to this, Heidi. You're going to love this one. A sheltered dog who loves his bowl gets adopted after his story goes viral. The shelter dog was adopted just hours before he was scheduled to be euthanized, thanks to social media and thanks to his bowl. Oliver was rescued because this family saw him online. The staff believed he had a home or somebody taking care of him at some point because he was a smart dog and he loved his food and his treats. In fact, he loved it so much he became attached. He'd carry his bowl around.
Oh,
Oliver's story went viral.
Sweetheart.
It was posted online by a group named Wilson, Rosie, and Pickle Pete. I don't know what that means exactly. In their post, they pleaded for somebody to adopt Oliver and his bowl after learning that he was scheduled to be euthanized. Well, it didn't take long. All of a sudden, they had a lot of folks out there. There were a lot of folks that were interested. The post shared more than 9,000 times. It got international attention, and it worked. Look at this photo. Good-looking dog right there. Got a couple of good-looking owners now.
Cutie.
Thanks to everybody who posted and shared Oliver at the Memphis Animal Services. They wrote in a little update, people all over the world fell in love with him and his bowl, and 2 of those people came for him, and today he's going home with them and with his bowl, of course. So how cool is that? Look at that. He looks pretty
He's
darn
so
happy.
cute.
I think that's neat. So I've got a link to that story. It's in the show notes. If you'd like to read all about it, you'll find that in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you so darn much for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend.